Everybody ready to go? Everyone ready? Be cool, be calm, remember what we've done, remember the bits we do at the beginning and the end of the lesson as well. Get all them things inside your head. You've got 40 minutes. Eyes down, looking.
This is Andy Smith. Andy is a physics teacher at Woodchurch High School on the Wirral.
The lower years, 7, 8 and 9, they do 6 weeks of lessons, then they have a test at the end. Years 10 and 11, it's GCSE exams, so 3 times a year they have sort of big GCSE exams. With the lower years, you give them the test, I mark it, then I hand it back. Andrew, 93%, 3% more than last time. Shawnee, 74, better than last time, good girl. In fact, what was that, 74? Your last one was 69, 5 more, good girl. Dan? We go through, we see what they did right, see what they did wrong. Can't remember now. Question 1, you've got someone else's paper, let's go for it. Right, so question 1, we'll start with you, Sean. I get them to swap papers because if I'm spending a lesson going through a test paper and they've got their own paper, it's just quite easy to sort of drift off. So you can compare yourself to how your neighbour did. So you can say, oh, he's done better than me, or I've done better than him. And then see what they did as they went through. Keisha. Next question is a little bit about heat flow. And the first question says that someone has a fire on in a room and heat is moving around the room. Question 1 says, when will heat stop moving around the room? What answer have we got there?
When all the rooms are the same temperature.
When all the rooms are the same temperature. That's a big tick. Did Keisha get that one right? Very good. Right, next one. It says there, Damien, that heat will continue moving around the room. And heat moves from where to where? Where does it move?
Hot to cold.
From hot to cold. Big tick there, please. Did he get that one right?
Yeah.
He did as well. Right, so up to you, Connor, now.
To monitor their progress and to allow them to self-assess, the students have a target sheet upon which they record the marks for each test.
Normally, they do their test and then I mark them and then they'll be doing an activity and I'll call them out one at a time. I mean, you don't want to embarrass everyone in front of the class, so when they're doing something, you call them out one at a time, you get them to write it in. At the end of each test, they can put their mark in and they can basically assess how they've done by how their mark has done. Right, so how have we done in our tests? So we started off on 5.0, good test mark there, sir. Then we had a 5.4, so you went up by 0.4. Then back to 5.0, but still good marks. Now, on this last one, we got a 5.1. So you're back up to 0.1. Now, all your test marks, even though, you know, some are up and some are down, they're all above level 5. Now, you should be hitting level 6 by the time you're in year 9. So at the moment, all your test marks above above level 5, that's the way forward, sir. If they thought, oh, I did really well on that topic, but then they get a mark that's not so good, that mark goes down in stone so they can, you know, assess their revision. Maybe they didn't revise as well as they could. But on the flip side, if everything's going great, and their marks are going up, or they don't always have to go up, as long as the marks are consistent, that's good enough, because no one can keep going up and up. Then they can see how they're going, they can assess for themselves that they're making progress, and they can see all the time. And if, say mum or dad wants to see how they're doing, all they need to do is open the cover of the book, and the marks all year, and the homework marks are all there, so anybody can look at any time. Now your tests then. So first one we had 4.8, not bad. Then 5.4, good stuff. Then you drop down there to 5.0, but you're back on the up again, because the one you got now is back up to 5.2. So you're on your way back up now. So you should be, by the end of year 9, sort of getting level 6. So if we're hitting 5s now, we're doing okay. So all 3 of them are above 5. And you're on the way back up again, up 0.2 again. At Key Stage 3, you go from a 3 to a 7 in science. We used to just give them a mark, a level 5, you got level 4. But that's not enough, really, because someone could get 5 all year. And I've got like a 4.6 up to a 5.4. So there's a big gap there. So we ourselves give it a decimal point. So the percentage on the test corresponds to a sat mark to 1 decimal place. So it's something we just do ourselves. But when they do the sats in year 9, they'll just get a straight 6 or a straight 5 or whatever.
The feedback that Mr. Smith gives is like encouraging. If you've done a bad score, he'll say how to help. And if you've done a good score, he'd tell you well done and stuff.
Feedback that Mr. Smith gives me helps me a lot, because he really encourages you. If you get like a 5.5, it'll make you do better by like the games help you learn and the experiments help you learn.
Playing games in lesson is Andy's trademark, but beneath the fun is a serious objective.
Yes, don't worry. Well, the lessons can sometimes quite drag a bit, especially if there's no practical. So I always like to do something different at the end, just something a bit fun. And then the ideas a few years ago, starters and plenaries came in. So I've kind of changed them slightly so I can use them for assessment purposes.
The games help me remember a lot because they're fun. They stick in your head for longer, and then by the end of the term, when you do the test, you've got everything in your head because you can track back to those games that you've been playing.
Because you've got to find out what they've learned. It's easy to stand at the front and just say, right, what you did, and it's a bit boring, and it's boring for them, and it's boring for me. So if you just get like a little bit of interaction, get people out doing stuff, kids kind of think, oh, that's the end of the lesson, we're just going to muck about and play a few games, when it's not really. It's a sneaky way for me to see what they've learned.
My favourite game is the Leap of Fury because it develops your listening skills and like your communication skills as well as remembering things, and it's fun as well.
On your desk, there are little glass jars, right? And in your little glass jars, there are little pieces of paper. Could you lift them out and pass them around so everybody's got at least one? Pass them around, and everybody should have one. One table's got one less because I couldn't think of another question, but life goes on. Right, now everyone's got a little piece of paper. Now somebody's got number one. Right, so Luke's got number one. Now what happens is Luke reads out his question. Then somebody else in here has the answer to that question on their little card. Then you'd say your question and we go on and on and on and on and on. So listen out for your question, and then it goes all the way back to Luke, and then we stop the clock. So we'll try it now and we'll try it at the end and see if we can do it quicker at the end. Does that make sense? Yes? Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
What is an uppy downy wave?
Is this a transverse wave? What is the top of a transverse wave called?
It's a peak.
Good lad, go.
What is the bottom of a transverse wave called?
A trough. How do you remember these?
A mountain peak is at the top. A pig eats out of the trough. What is the distance from peak to peak called?
It is a wavelength. Where else can you measure the wavelength?
From trough to trough.
If you've got like a class of say 25 and you give them 2 questions each, there's 50 questions on everything you've done in the topic. And it's a bit of excitement as well. Time it. Come on, get it quicker. Go. And then at the end of the lesson, swap cards and hopefully we can do it a little bit quicker.
It'll be very quiet. What kind of sound is a wave with a small wavelength?
It has a high pitch. What kind of sound is a wave with a long wavelength?
It will be long.
Yes! 3:03. Goodness me, 3 seconds. I was getting a bit hairy in the end there with 3 seconds. Right, pop them back in the jars, please.
I think that the teachers should play games in the lesson because even though they think it's silly and everyone will mess around, it's actually not. It helps you remember more things for that lesson, and it's better and it keeps you more occupied than sitting down writing stuff all the time in lessons.
This next one is called the above head game. What happens is, Matthew, is we have 4 people out the front, right? And they get a word written above their head. Now we've only had 2 lessons, so it'll be from last lesson or this lesson. And you have 5 lives. And you have to ask the class a question. You might be like, am I to do with waves? And for every yes, you keep a life. But for every no, you lose a life and lose a life and lose a life. If you have a guess and it's incorrect, you lose a life. The idea is to guess what you are before your 5 lives have gone. That's a really good one for difficult keywords and seeing how much they know about the word that's above their head. So rather than guessing what they are, they have to ask questions. But again, the whole class is involved, because if you're not stood out, you've got to answer the person's question. You've got to say yes or no to their question. I don't know if you could do that in other subjects. We're lucky in science that it is quite a lot of factual recall that you can just go through.
Am I something to do with heat?
Yeah. Yes. Now I'm to do with heat flow in a solid. Am I a material that is a bad conductor?
No.
So how many lives have I got? I'm down to 4 now. Thank you.
Am I to do with something about things moving in the solid?
No.
Come on.
Am I something to do with heat moving in a gas?
Is she something to do with heat moving in a gas? Yes. Do you want to have a guess?
Can't remember.
Okay. Am I something to do with a good conductor?
Yeah.
Can I have a guess? Yeah. Am I metal?
No. Am I a bad conductor?
Is she a bad conductor? No. You asked a minute ago, you said something to do with, is it to do with like heat moving? And it is to do with like heat moving, and it's when perhaps heat doesn't want to move. When what?
When...
It's not your go. Your...
I can't think.
You're something to do with, you were heat moving. You're something to do with convection.
Heat rises.
That's the one, rises.
At the end, you normally like just want to fall asleep, but when he brings the games, it's just like you just like dead happy.
Right, first things first, on board. We have 30 little pieces of paper. Underneath each one of them little pieces of paper is something new that you've learned in science this year. Something new. Like you came in at the beginning of year 7, I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea what that meant. I want you to make up a sentence with something in there. So if it said, for example, James Cole, you'd say, James Cole sits at the front. Danny, get your coat off. If the question was, coat on, you could say, Danny Butler still has his coat on. So you've got to make up a sentence. Right, who wants to have a go? Let's hear it, Blundell. That's just a simple one to practice literacy. It's good with the year 7 and 8 who are being introduced to lots of new science words. Because of course marks on SATs are for good sentence structure. If you just put down the word, you won't get the mark. So it gets them used to making sentences with these science words in. That'll do for me. Let's have another one. James.
15.
Number 15. Can you tell me, please, sir, a sentence with the word joules in?
Energy is measured by joules.
I'm loving it. Let's have another one. Neville. Number 14. Can you tell me, please, a sentence with the word weight in?
Weight is a force that pulls you down.
Weight. Your weight is your force that pulls you down. Let's hear it, Anna.
11.
Legs 11. A sentence with law of energy in.
And the law of energy, you can't create it and you can't destroy it.
Magnificent answer. Jamie.
24.
Number 24. We've got gravitational potential energy.
There are 2 ways you can get gravitational potential: put more weight on or go higher.
You've got gravitational potential energy. There's 2 ways to get more: get higher or get heavier. Let's hear it, Barton.
26.
Number 26. I've done elastic potential twice, so we'll go on to nice easy one for you. Light energy.
Light energy is energy that you get in light bulbs.
Good lad. Let's have another one. Let's hear it, Quirk. Number 10. Can you tell me, please, Miss Quirk? I've got universal indicator.
You add it into an acid or an alkaline, it changes its colour.
I'm loving it. One more. Someone from over here. Well done, Miss Capper. Number 3. Lovely little bow in your hair today. Can you tell me, please? Now, we did about this yesterday and we're going to do about it today. Chemical energy.
Something you find in food.
Everybody asks me where I get ideas from. Some of them are like robbed from other places. Like a sentence game, it's just question of sport, really. So you just keep your eye on things, and if you think something's good on the telly or something, you think, how can I adapt that? How can I use that quiz? You know, if you see a quiz show and there's a certain round that's good, you think, how can I adapt that in my classroom?
Teachers who don't do it, they should do, because you can't learn properly with boring teachers that go on all the time. But with Mr. Smith, it's dead wow in your face, and teachers should always be like that, I think.